Hey, what's up YouTube? This is going to be a video on a recent purchase I just made that has really turned out to be really handy. Today I'm just hauling some shoe mold that I need to paint, but I picked this up off Amazon, and it's just a little bed extender. It was like 75 bucks, made out of 2-inch tubular steel. This setup I bought, I'll link in the description which one it is, but it has hooks, which some of them don't, so you can strap down, you know, your load. But it makes it really nice for, I just hauled trim all last week, which if I didn't have this, I would have to get pretty creative, but I just keep it in my truck. That way if I need to haul anything. One of the salesmen at the lumber yard said that he hauled like 500 pounds of 2x12s, so they can haul quite a big load. But anyways, I'm painting some trim today. If you want to watch, follow along. Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I'm painting some trim, and I'm in my buddy's shop here, and I'm using my HomeRite HVLP sprayer. They're like 100 bucks on Amazon. There's a lot of videos out there, but these are awesome guns for little projects like this. They're really reasonably priced. It's the HomeRite Finishmax Super. I've sprayed water-based finishes with it. Comes with 3 different tips and had really good. And I've sprayed some doors. It sprays latex paint without having to thin it down. And like I said, it's worth every penny. So today I'm painting some shoe mold real quick before I install it. And I'm using a Sherwin-Williams Pro Classic satin finish. Fill up your cup. Like when you're painting, you can leave this gun set up in between coats. It's easy to clean, obviously, if you're using water-based finishes. But yeah, since it's, I don't know all the specs on it, but since it's an HVLP, its overspray is very minimal. You can thin it up to 10%, but typically it's not needed. So once you get your paint loaded up, the dial here is your flow, the different tip. You just unscrew here, and then there comes with the wrench. You can pull out the tip with a little wrench. The one I bought came with 3 tips. There's a total of 5 you can buy. The handyman on YouTube has a lot of videos on this setup. That's where I originally found it, and I've been impressed for a cheap little gun. I have an airless setup, but you don't want to get that out all the time when it's just a small job like this. So I'll do a little test spray. And you can turn the tip to your fan pattern. That's spraying pretty nice. Could probably thin it down a little, but it's gonna work. So there you go, I got 1 coat. This is shoe mold. It's got an east edge on the top, a little radius. So I set them all upright, stacked them. So kind of like a stacked spray to get that top radius. And I laid them flat, gave 1 coat. I'll see how this levels out. I might sand it real quick. And this should be dry in, I don't know, an hour, be where I can work it. So I'm gonna hit that quick, let it sit, and I'll be back and give it another coat. So my first coat's dry, and since I didn't thin that down, when it comes out, you can maybe tell in the camera when I was spraying that it kind of wasn't atomizing the best, which I knew, but I figured it would level out, which it did. That's kind of a thing when you're painting. I could tell it wasn't the best, but it's just the shoe mold. So I sprayed it on, and you know, if you look at your finish, it'll almost look like orange peel. Well, this Sherwin-Williams paint levels out pretty nice. It's got a decent open time for latex. So I'm just gonna hit a few spots with some 220, then wipe it off, and this time I do have water, so I'm gonna thin it out on my finish coat and lay it down. So now I'm just gonna sand the few spots that I have. I will say about this trim paint, I do like this Pro Classic a lot better. I recently tried the Solo trim paint that came out from Sherwin-Williams. It was very shiny and it was very thick. It was real heavy bodied acrylic. So either brushing or spraying, I had some difficulties. Some guys really like it. I didn't care for it. I really don't like a real glossy finish on trim typically. This is a satin finish, and I really do like this paint. The baseboard I just installed, I had to brush a lot of it. It will run, so you gotta, you don't want to apply it too heavy, but after you brush it on, even the brush marks are very minimal, at least for me in this last job. So that's just my 2 cents there. So you can see right now, kind of like how I sprayed them, getting enough that I can sand easily. Holding them together, I'm hitting the top radius, that eased edge, I'm hitting the very top, which will be very visible, and I'll flip them over, and then scuff the face versus doing each individual one. And if you've never used these sanding discs from Diablo, I really like these, especially if you have like moldings to get in, because they're obviously flexible. They last really long, have a lot better dust extraction, I feel like. Yeah, they just come with your, like a hook and loop style. Comes with a little pad to stick on your sander, and they last really long. I don't have the display in there, but I got them at Home Depot and I'd highly recommend them. I'm gonna find a rag. So like I said, for this coat, I'm gonna put some water in it, just a little bit. Typically it's 10%. Or you can use like M1 latex extender. It's something I've used before, which I don't know if it's any different than water, to be honest with you. So like I said, the nice thing about this gun is you can let it sit with paint. Sometimes the only thing, it'll get a film on the tip, so you just get that film off. And that's all that you need to do. In between coats, leave this set with paint, with clear for a long couple days, and haven't had any issues in between. And obviously when I finish, I'll run water through it and clean it out, but it's just a little bit of water. Get it mixed up. I don't have all my painting stuff with me, so I don't have a stick to stir it. So the only maintenance, other than cleaning it, which is really fast to clean, is there's this little door on the back and there's a filter in there. And you're supposed to clean that filter, and I think online they do sell replacements. So that opens up. Obviously you could clean out in here because that's where it's sucking in air. But yeah, this gun is pretty bulletproof. It's got a lot better reviews than even the Graco or the Wagner. Those are kind of these same models, handheld. So like I said, I would recommend it, though I've never used I have a Graco Airless, but I've never used their model, their little handheld comparable. So just that little bit of water made a big difference. The nice thing about that gun is there's hardly any overspray. but you can kind of see that orange peel I was talking about, but it really flattens out, gives a nice finish. Which I think if you bought, I only have 3 tips, so I think if you bought, you know, the more tips for the perfect size for what you're spraying, that'd probably make a pretty big difference. And I literally just ran out of paint, so I had just enough in there. So I'll take this home, clean it up, let this dry overnight, and then tomorrow I just have to install this, fill nail holes, and then that trim job will be wrapped up. And then next week I'm starting another trim job, hanging doors. I'll do some finishing, so that'll kind of be a neat setup where I can show some things, and you'll be able to follow along with the whole project. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please go to Meyer Construction, hit like, hit subscribe, and keep hammering.